Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Prime Sports. We're here with episode 15 now. I'm Andre, obviously you guys know, and we got Nico on the other end.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good to be back for another one.
Yeah. Today we're gonna be talking about the international break. Obviously, at the time of recording this, it's still going on. It's just finishing up, and we should be back to club football next week, I think, or next weekend at least. And
Thank
yeah,
God.
we
Thank
kind of have
God.
a lot to talk about, the goods, the bads, a lot of the bads. Um, we have a lot of opinions on what maybe can fix international breaks and fix all these injuries that we see.
Yeah, so pretty much me and Andre have been talking about this for a bit now. We saw that there's been a lot of injuries, and not just this international break, but like for the past few international breaks. And it's a sort of thing that a lot of teams have been complaining about. Would you would say so, right, Andre?
Yeah, it's a it's not just this one, like you said. It's been like it's a pretty common thing. Like obviously injuries happen, but it's pretty obvious to me at least that like it's like all these players are getting injured on international break.
Yeah.
For some reason, like obviously players get injured during the league, whatever, club football, but like I'm not really there hasn't been some big ones where I'm like, oh, they're gonna miss him. Like Real Madrid has had a couple, but it seems like it's all happening on international break. Like Gavi, I think today of recording this, he had a serious knee injury when he went off the field crying,
Mhm.
and I feel like he just got back from an injury.
I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I would believe it because the way I see it is there's a lot of players who go into the international break with some like lingering injuries, and these national teams, I don't think they do enough to like check the players once they arrive. Like I think they just go to training and go straight into a game. They're not checked like closely as much as they are in with their club team. That's what I think. Um,
Maybe they should do a fitness test, like for new
yeah,
signings.
yeah.
You
Like
don't
every time there's a international break, everyone has to do a fitness test. Maybe that would reduce something because maybe you catch something early on. Um,
I'm sure you can say like I imagine there's been a couple Milan players that have been injured on international break, right?
dude, like it happens so often, and like the fans, the at least the Milan fans, I know that we hate international breaks just for that. I swear to you, like every time there's an international break, there's like three or four injuries, and we're missing players for like a few months.
Yeah.
It's just repetitive every time, and it happens to other teams too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the last international break there were a lot of injuries. I remember, and then people kept saying, "Oh, this international break is cursed," and then fast forward to this one, and people are saying the same thing.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
as a manager for a club, like I wanted to ask you about Milan because I could get your like personal opinion. If a player like for example, let's say Leao got injured on international break. He didn't get injured on international break though, right? He just got injured.
uh, he got injured the match before.
Okay. So but let's say he did, right?
Mhm.
On Portugal. How would you feel as a manager? Because now you got your plans set out for the return. Maybe you got some Champions League games coming up. You're fighting for the league, and you lose your star player on an international break. Like, there's not much you can do, but obviously you're probably not happy about that, right?
I mean, I can instead of using Leao, I would use Tomori as an example because he got injured with England. The last game they played, he started and then he picked up a big knock and he had to be subbed off at halftime. And Milan are already struggling with defensive absences, so now we add Tomori to the list. And yeah, it's definitely not ideal because now we got Champions League games coming up. We got the league that we know
Yeah.
we need to really battle hard for, and we're gonna be without another defender. So
At
yeah,
least at least Pioli
all
now
right.
doesn't have to worry about rotating the squad because there isn't a squad to rotate with.
Don't even get me started. But yeah, as a manager, I think it's just so inconvenient. So that's why like I told you before, I think they have to come up with some other way to do this because I think teams are really losing out here. And and players too, like they should really
Get
understand.
some sort of rest.
They need to understand that yes, as much as like, you want to play for your national team, every player wants to. There's a time and a place. Like you can't do it mid-season, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It has to be either mid-season and there's like reduced games, which I'm gonna talk about soon, or you do it in the summer and somehow find time for that in the summer.
It's
But
like it's like construction on a road. You can't do it during the busiest time of the year or the busiest part of the day. You got to do it when it's not
yeah,
busy. So
yeah, it does.
I like the summer show. Um going to what you said, how you'll get back to the amount of games. Let's talk about first the amount of competition that there is for international break. You talked to me before about the Nations League. How do you feel about the Nations League?
I think it's a good idea. Like, but once again, I think it should be a summer thing. Like when there isn't a World Cup or a Euro. But doing the Nations League during the year, it's so unnecessary for me because you're just adding more games, more stress for the players. Like it's just not good. These players are playing up to like 80 games a season now, which is insane, you know?
Yeah. I think that's why Pedri is injured because he plays so many games for Spain and Barcelona. I remember there was a time, I think like a couple years ago now, where the Olympics, he played in the Olympics. Do you remember that? He
Hmm.
played in the Olympics. He played for Barca that year. I think it was like his first year in the senior squad. This guy played like 100 games as a 18-year-old whatever that he is at the time. Especially for these young players, like their muscles are not fully developed. You'd think like a younger player maybe has more endurance than like maybe an older player, but their muscles aren't fully developed. They're still got to get used to all the playing time. So yeah, like you said, like as much as a player wants to play or represent their national team, has to be understood that not all players can handle that.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the amount of competitions that these players have to play. Like, let's look at last season, for example. So they had what did they have in the summer last season? I'm pretty sure they had some sort of competition in the summer. But then you go to the start of the season and you have league. So like let's go off of like
Well, they just had the World Cup a year ago. A year
yeah,
ago around
let
this
me
time.
let me say so you have from the start of last season, let's just use the Premier League as an example. These players had their league, they had the Community Shield, which I know is only one game, but
Yeah.
it adds up.
Yeah.
They had the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, they had the
Champions League,
Nations
whatever.
League,
Yeah.
Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, uh
Qualifications.
qualifications for what was it? Euros, I
Yeah.
think. Um
That's
and then
like 10
and
different
then,
competitions.
and then they had the World Cup on top of that halfway through the season. Then they got back to playing. It's just insane. It's insane.
Throw a couple international friendlies in there as well.
Yeah, they literally play friendlies for no reason.
It kind of made sense in a time where we didn't have all these competitions. There were no conference leagues, there were no nations leagues. Those
Yeah.
are pretty new competitions. It kind of made sense once in a while, get the national team to meet up, maybe give someone a chance in the national team to impress, the national team boss that doesn't get to see them that much. But it's kind of just a little, stupid at this point. Uh, would you eliminate the Nations League?
I would move it just as like a summer tournament. I
Okay.
still I still like the idea behind it,
Hmm.
but I would just no I
To
wouldn't
to the
consider
odd
it.
summer where there's no Euro or World Cup.
Yeah. But during the year, no, I would remove it for like during the season. I
Yeah.
mean, um and then I just want to like move on to my main idea. I
Yeah.
think that they and let me know your honest opinion on this. I think that they should do some type of like preliminary qualification to the qualifications.
Hmm. I know what you're
Um,
saying.
kind of like
It's sort of like the Nations League, how they have different rankings. Like the first ranking is all the, good nations. Second
Exactly.
ranking is okay nation, and then after that is just countries you can't pronounce.
Or like, and I know this doesn't entirely connect, but like Champions League, for example, right? They have the qualifications for the group stages. So these like, no offense, but like these like poor teams or bad teams that are kind of unheard of. No offense, they aren't going up against Real Madrid in the group stage, you know?
Yeah.
You keep it a bit more exciting, you reduce the games that you have to play.
You
So,
know what you're gonna get from the top teams.
yeah. So I think that's the way to go. And I think they should do that for World Cup qualifying, for Euros, for Nations League, whatever you want. But mainly World Cup and Euros,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
For South America, I guess leave it as is because there already isn't that many countries, I guess. Maybe add less games. I don't know. They have a Nations League as well, I think, right? I think all the continents do.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's a
So there you go. Yeah.
CONCACAF one as well.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, I like the summer idea you had. I also like the preliminary qualifications, like you said, because you can't really like it's unfair to just say, okay, these bad countries, we're not gonna waste time playing them to
yeah.
qualify because they need a chance and you never know, like they might surprise you. You never know. So you give them that like opportunity to like show themselves to get in the qualifying, whatever. So I like that idea. It gives everyone a chance. It also reduces games. I don't see any bad in it.
And you can, okay, let's be honest, like you can probably put those games in the summer or like near the end of the summer because
Yeah.
most of those teams won't be busy going to the World Cup
They're not in the Champions
or
League
the
final.
Euros. They're not in the like they're not like in the Euros or the World Cup, so they can probably afford to play those games in
Oh
the
yeah,
summer.
true. Yeah, that's
So
true.
you do that sort of qualification preliminary qualification, sorry. Um in the summer, like near the end of summer, maybe start of the new season. And then from there you build your actual qualification tables. And that would reduce the tables, it would reduce the teams in there, and it would reduce the games that you play. And I know we still have an international break, but maybe teams will, get or sorry, players will get a little bit of more of a break.
Yeah,
And maybe they only play like one game in the international break instead of two or three.
yeah, I like that. Also, I wanted to ask you another thing about groups and stuff. So right now, like, let's just use European qualifying as an example. There's J amount of groups. I don't know how many numbers that is. I think that's what, 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups of 6 teams, some of them 5 teams. Would you rather see more groups but with only 4 teams in it so then those teams have less games to play? Where the top two move on and I guess they just decide it from there rather than playing 10 qualifying games?
Hold on, you said more groups?
More groups but less teams. So then,
Okay,
for
yeah,
example, let's look at Italy's group because I have it right here.
yeah.
England, Italy, Ukraine, Malta, for example. And then that extra game you don't have to play, which is an extra 2 games actually, because you got to play them away and home. So you limited that. You only play like what a lot, well, less games than you originally would, 2 less. So I don't know. It just gives you that chance to play less games. Obviously, there'll be more groups, but those players will have less games to play.
You know what'd be interesting if they do something where it's like ranking based. So they make the groups based off of the rankings, like from the number one ranked country to the 20th ranked country. You can put them all together and it doesn't matter. But then after the 20th ranked, you can put only like the ones after the 20th together in a group. So it gives these smaller countries more of a chance to actually get into these
Okay.
competitions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then, I don't know.
Does that leave all the top teams in one group though? If you bunch up all the bad teams?
Well, no, because you would have several groups
Okay.
made up of those top 20 or top 30 teams, whatever you
Okay.
want.
Okay. Okay.
You would have a bunch of those groups. But like I'm saying, it would give more of an opportunity to those countries that,
Instead of playing, Belgium, you're playing against Estonia, for example.
yeah. And like for example, the team that just lost against France 14-0, they won't be losing
Yeah,
14-0,
get them
hopefully.
up against
Uh
Faroe Islands or San Marino, and see
yeah.
how they cook against them.
But yeah, itself is an example of like what's wrong with the qualifications. Like a team shouldn't be beating you 14-0. It just
It's almost a waste of time for the losers, for the winners, everyone who bought a ticket to watch, everyone sitting at home watching.
and I know
Maybe
like
maybe there should be
for
a mercy rule.
I know that like for France, like the players obviously they're gonna say a win is a win. Like we'll take it obviously, and they're professional, so they're not gonna be like, oh, I don't want to play. But at the same time, it is kind of a waste of time.
Yeah. And
Um,
obviously goal difference is a factor, but you know what we mean. You know what we're trying to say here.
yeah, yeah.
Anything else on like what you think should be changed in terms of competitions and maybe regulations?
Um,
I liked what you said about Nations League being this summer, also because it's not a super long tournament. The groups are like of
uh,
3 teams,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And like, what is it? The first team moves on, and then it's a semifinal.
yeah. And then it's a semifinal. So,
So you're playing like
and
less than 10 games.
and they do the group stages like at the start of the season, and then at the end of the season, there's the semifinal. So
Your
it's
whole
like
team could change by then.
exactly like a lot can happen in that
Yeah,
time. So yeah, I think doing it in the summer would benefit these teams a lot. And you don't have to wait a whole season to play the
yeah,
semifinal.
yeah,
You can just do the whole thing in like 2 weeks,
yep.
three
Yeah,
weeks,
it's
whatever.
super short. Like it wouldn't take anyone's, it wouldn't be taking too much time of the players and whatever. So yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Um,
Is there anything else that you think they should change? Not just with international stuff, maybe like even with the leagues, if there's anything that you're thinking of.
well, I've thought of this for a long time. It's like backtracking on, well, not backtracking, but it's way off topic of what we've just been talking about.
Okay.
It's actually the opposite. We're saying we need less games. I've always had this idea where I know everyone's gonna say we're Americanizing the sport, but I've always thought like what would happen if, let's say, the top 8 Premier League teams, they like have a playoff. The first in the league versus eighth, second, seventh, third, sixth, whatever. It would, for one, sometimes if you see teams like Man City before running away with the title, the season's over like 15 games in. Not to say there's not a point to watch, but it's almost, there goes the excitement. It's just like Formula One. Who's
Mhm.
really enjoying watching Formula One? Let me know. Um, but you know what I mean. I think a playoff would kind of give. Yes, there's more games, but also it'd be like very entertaining for the fans. There's more to play for. That team in eighth place doesn't have to give up on not having Europe or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Just an idea thrown out there.
You know what I was just thinking? You got this going in my head right now. Because
You're
I love
welcome.
that idea. As much as I think that we shouldn't Americanize European sports,
Yeah.
I like the idea of that because it would be very exciting on a fan's point of view.
Yeah. That's the
Um,
thing. We're fans. We're not managers who have to worry about the health of our players.
um, I mean, obviously those are things to consider, but I think that instead of doing something like the Carabao Cup or
Oh
the
yeah, true. Just
or
get that out.
that you do something at the end of the season, right? So instead of having like Carabao Cup games of the week, whatever, you play more league games. You try to end the league faster or something so that you have like the whole month of May or something, like May and June, to have this time to do a little competition where you have the season over, you know the league positions, and then you have the playoff format, and it's a whole different cup, you
Yeah,
know?
I
Like you
like
can
that.
like there's a league winner and then there's
Separate thing.
there's a separate thing where you can call it like the Premier League
The
playoff.
Carabao Cup.
The You can call it the same thing if you want, but I was thinking like the playoff cup or something like
Yeah.
that. And then it's a whole separate thing, and it gives other teams an opportunity to maybe beat the team that won the league. Like, how awesome would that be?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it would be a lot more exciting for the fans, and it would offer up something new because I'm not too familiar with how the Carabao Cup works exactly.
I think it's similar to the FA Cup. I don't know how many how many divisions it goes through, but I
Mhm.
know it's pretty much an all of England thing. I think the FA Cup goes a bit deeper in terms of divisions. I think the Carabao Cup is just like the first four divisions or something. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is. But they're pretty similar.
Because I like the idea of like having a competition where teams from other divisions can compete with the big boys. I like that.
That's
So
what the FA Cup's for.
I think they should just keep it with the FA Cup, and the Carabao Cup can get abolished and create this new thing that I think a lot of fans would like. And I think it would balance out the two ideas of one one fan base liking like the league format and one fan base wanting a playoff format. So
Just
you
an
get
extra thing to play for. Not too many games, right? End of the year. Just gives not smaller teams, but like it gives another team some more hope, something else
yeah,
to win.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, I would add more games, but I think if it's done properly, you can give players a good amount of rest between the end of the season and the start of this little thing. And then once that's over, give them another rest until the start of the new season. Also, by ending the league earlier, it gives you more time to do that. So I think if it's done properly, it could work. Now, we're just speculating here. I don't
We're
know.
just spitballing. We're just some fans that like some
Like
entertaining.
like obviously I know these ideas aren't like bulletproof. Like, they a lot can go
There's
wrong.
definitely some holes.
A lot could go wrong with what we're saying right now, and we'll accept any criticism um that comes our
We
way.
just thought of it now. We have no defense.
Like, we just drew this up in 30 minutes, so don't blame us. But yeah, I think a lot of people would think about it and be like, maybe that
Yeah,
would
I'd be
do.
curious to see what people think because obviously there's obviously that always that argument about people don't Americanize the sport. So I wonder what people will think about that, but I think it's a decent little idea.
I think it just needs to be given some thought and like planning, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure with the right planning, it could be done. It could be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. I agree. Um, let's move on. Let's move on to what did happen in the international break.
Yeah.
Um, you talked about before those big defeats, those whoopings. But in other news, the Portuguese boys, they've finished off their qualifying campaign with a perfect record, no big deal. 10 wins from 10. Their group were a bunch of bricklayers, but that's okay.
I was just about to say,
But in the end, it's pretty hard to win 10. 2 goals conceded, but yeah, just wanted to give them a shout out. The Italian guys are in action tomorrow, recording this, Nico.
yeah, big game against Ukraine.
How are you feeling? Are you a little worried?
Yeah, I'm gotta be honest, I'm kind of nervous about it.
Mudrik's coming for you.
We missed the last two World Cups. I know we won the last Euros, but I don't know. We're weird. We're really weird when it comes to qualifying for competitions in the last, I don't even know how many years.
Five,
Um,
six, maybe.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, I think it can be done. It has to be done because if you have a team like Italy with so much history, you gotta believe that you can beat
Yeah,
Ukraine. You know,
you'd hope
I
so, right?
I know we're missing some parts of our team that need to be improved, like obviously the striker position.
What
Um,
about Immobile?
yeah, let's not talk about Immobile. Uh, I think a lot can be improved about the team, but there's also a lot of youngsters that can and will do good in the future. And yeah, a lot of newcomers to this team. So I
A
think
lot of people exiting the team for specific scandals.
yeah, let's not name people.
We talked about that in a previous episode. I forgot which one, but that'll be on the card in your
Yeah,
top right of the
yeah.
screen.
No, I think it can be done and it needs to be done and the boys should get it done against Ukraine, but hey, who knows? Anything can happen. We've seen it done before where Italy got upset.
I
Talk
remember that day.
Macedonia.
That
Uh,
paved way for Portugal to make it.
yeah. Yeah.
Cheers.
So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but it should be a good match nonetheless.
For this
Um,
match, it's do you have to finish first in your qualifying group to just advance through?
no, first and second.
Okay, so if you win, you're in,
If
right?
we
Because
win, we finish second. This is the last game of the
yeah,
groups. So, sorry, the qualifiers.
yeah,
So if we win, we're through. If we lose, we're out. If we draw, we're through as well. So
yeah. Okay,
we, as long as we get 1 point, we're through.
yeah. Defensive masterclass incoming. Who's your coach again? Mancini.
No, no, Spalletti.
All right, that's right. How
Yeah.
is he doing with the national team? Good.
I like him. Yeah,
Yeah.
he brings a lot of that same mentality that he had on Napoli when he got them to win the league last season. So I really like him. It's just a matter of like getting the chemistry with the team
Hmm.
and getting that settled. But he was saying in a press conference the other day, I want fans to fall in love with this team again.
Yeah.
And
Too much has changed from the legendary Italian teams that we know in the past.
yeah, so that's literally all he said in his press conference. He mainly just said he wants the fans to fall in love again and he wants them to see like the potential that they truly have because he said he knows that they can do a lot better than they've been doing. And he said that 5-2 win against Macedonia proves that and they didn't even have some of their best players playing against Macedonia, so
That's a pretty big statement from you guys.
yeah, so and it was a scare because I'm pretty sure at one point Macedonia were making a comeback in that match. It was like 3-2 or something. So I got kind of worried, but
A little
the
bit
boy
nervous.
they pulled through. But yeah, should be interesting. I'm hoping we don't disappoint again.
Yeah. There will be a few other matches as well in the qualifiers tomorrow. Let me just have a look. Ukraine, Italy, we obviously mentioned. England, Macedonia are going on, but I think England are already through, right?
Yeah, England are through.
So they're done. Everything else is just basically why we've been talking about this episode. Not a lot of ice eye candy. But other
Yeah.
than that, lad, I think we've covered it all. Is there anything else you want to add about international saga?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Obviously today was a very how would you say it?
A short one?
No, I meant to say kind of like an episode where we just blab out a lot of weird ideas that
Yeah.
we have in our heads.
For the
Um,
record, guys, we it's 9 o'clock at night right now, and we discussed to do this episode at like 6:30.
yeah,
We just started talking about how much we hated international break, and we're like, let's just make an episode on this. So it was a short one right off the bat. We just decided to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You can take it away.
yeah. Like Andre said, it was a very shorter episode than we usually do, but it was very quick notice. So I think we got it done pretty well.
I feel like it was
Um,
necessary as well.
yeah, it was necessary. And I'm not sure what episode we're gonna do next. We're gonna think about that, and then we'll let you guys know maybe in a post or something. But yeah, thanks for watching another episode, and it's been 15 episodes now. Thank you
Getting
guys
there.
so much for sticking with us, and we'll see you guys at episode 16 soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
See you then.